Hey everybody, I'm Anka from the Audacious Explorer podcast, and today I'm really happy to have on board Michelle Lewis, a visibility Vixen. We were just chatting, and I find what Michelle is doing absolutely amazing, mostly because she's supporting people lady entrepreneurs who want to get more visible online through podcasting and also video and live streaming techniques so that they can ignite their online presence. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hey girl, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we started talking about authenticity and how for me it's really important to have that on screen. How do you feel about that? How was your journey actually? How did you start with helping people get more visible online?
Well, I think that authenticity, it's a word that's used a lot in our space. And I think that people probably worry, well, am I coming across authentic? And authenticity is a journey, right? Because it takes a while to really figure out your true niche and message online. So a lot of the times, especially in the beginning, we flail around a bit. I'm sure I did for about 6 months. And then as I got clearer and clearer in terms of what my mission was supposed to be, then the authenticity got to shine through more and more. But I definitely agree in authenticity. Like I messaged you this morning, I didn't sleep a wink last night. I was sick. And so it's like, you know what? All you can do is show up and do your best, and it's good enough. And that's all you can do. So my journey started in film and television. I grew up following my dad all around the world on big movies like Mission Impossible 2 and Wind
Wow.
Talkers and Paycheck, and loved that world and thought that that was 100% the world I was supposed to be in. So I went and got my degree in film and television and started my journey in specifically television on shows like Pretty Little Liars and Chuck and Melrose Place as a part of the crew as a stand-in. And I met my husband on Chuck, and we got married, and I was so tired of working the 14-hour days.
Mm.
And as a stand-in, you're paid almost like you're above, I think, extras in terms of your pay, but that's pretty much it. So it was just so exhausting, and I wasn't making any headway. And ultimately, Nathan and I, my husband and I, didn't want to have both of us working all the time, right? We wanted someone to be
Yeah.
able to be home so we could have animals and eventually have kids. So I, at the same time, was getting my doctorate in natural medicine. And so I thought, ooh, I'm going to try like going in the online space and writing an ebook. And that led to an e-course. And I thought I was going to be a life coach or a health coach. And as you know, you go online and you just see hundreds of thousands of health coaches and life coaches. And I knew that that just wasn't my specific calling. So I was at coffee with a friend one day and she said, well, why don't you teach people how to make video? That's your background. I said, well, everyone knows how to do that. And she said, no, they don't. So that is what started my journey in visibility and how I've got here today.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I was looking on your website. It was very powerful to just see you speaking about how you went through this phase that I guess many of us resonate with, feeling invisible and then needing to actually show who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were mentioning also natural medicine, and at that moment I was like, yes, absolutely. Are you still combining that? Are you bringing anything from that side, maybe the spiritual part, into your business?
Absolutely. I studied natural indigenous medicine called
Wow.
refology. And that's what I got my doctorate in. That's the practice that brought me back from multiple organ failure. And so, what's been really fun about it is that I still have my life reboot course, which is my introductory course that people take if they're feeling lost, overwhelmed, imbalanced, or just have no idea what they want to do in the online space. I'm like, okay, don't just throw spaghetti on the wall. You need to really dig deeper and resolve some issues so that you can uncover that message you were born with. So I direct them to that course. And I've also been able to incorporate it with color in my branding. So it's been really fun to be able to combine my education with color, with film and TV, of how an audience perceives color, and then in natural medicine in terms of how our bodies interpret color.
Mm.
So in my branding course, it's really, really fun because I get to talk about, like, for example, blue is my primary brand color. And on screen, it symbolizes, of course, social media and intellect and all of those things. But it also works with the mammary glands, which are our motivation center in the body. So by me wearing blue all the time and it being on my website, I'm subconsciously showing people like, hey, my first step is to motivate you to take action. So it's a really, really fun thing that I've been able to do by kind of marrying the two.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know more about this. I just felt, oh man, there are so many
It's
things that you
cool,
can
right?
actually support people with.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
yeah. So you were sharing with us your journey. Was there like a specific moment when you knew that enough was enough, and that was the moment when you kind of switched to leading the lifestyle that you are having now?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. Do you mean in terms of my health or do you mean in terms of my business?
I imagine that it's probably related with your health, but I mean business wise. So that moment
Gotcha.
when, okay, that's it. I'm doing
Yes,
this.
totally. So for me, it was actually when I went to trademark. My original business name was Ladypreneur Legacy, and that was what my podcast was called in the beginning. And so I went to trademark because I felt really led to trademark early. And Ladypreneur was already trademarked and it was in a similar niche. And so it sent me into like this panic of like, oh my gosh, what I'm going to do? Like, this is what my entire business is built on. Oh my gosh, right? But then I went onto my GoDaddy account just to see the other domains that I had reserved. And one of them was Visibility Vixen. And so
Hmm.
I told the woman, like, hey, just go for it. Let's see if this one works. And when it finally went through and like we submitted it, I felt this shift happen. And I went, oh my gosh, I think that this is even better. And I think this is going to change everything for me. And it did. It's like the breakdown of my business was so clear. I was able to create, 6 e-courses in 3 months. It just went like crazy. So I think that that was a catalyst for me that had to be kind of like a kick in the butt. I don't think otherwise I would have done that. So that's probably the time that it was.
Yeah, usually this is how it happens. Sometimes you think that, yeah, I've totally got it. This is my decision. And then the universe comes and puts some magic.
Like, no, no, you're an idiot. Like, it should be this. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I just heard a joke about if you want to make God laugh, just tell him about your 5 years plan.
Right? It's so true.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this, about being visible online. As a newbie, what is it that I should start with?
I think it's really important to start with how you're going to be different. And probably the biggest issue that comes up, especially in my Facebook group, The Visible Entrepreneur, is mission statements.
Mm.
So people give their mission statements, and 9 out of 10 times it's always way too generic. So it's, I'm a life coach who wants to empower women to live healthier lives so that they can be the best person that they were born to be, right? We've seen that in a million different Facebook groups all the
Yeah.
time. And unfortunately, that's only going to lead to confusion in your business and with your brand. And so you're going to have no idea what to create.
Mm.
So I always want to start with clarity. And I think the best place to start are your business pillars. What are you specifically going to be focusing on in your business? Because when you can specifically list your pillars, and by pillars, I mean, like for me, it's in the process of changing. It used to be systems, branding, and video, and now it's becoming more video, live streaming, and podcasting. So it will change over time. But I know if I'm specifically having one of my business pillars be video, I can create so many podcasts, blog posts, books, courses, all centered on that topic. And you'll be absolutely shocked at how much you really know about something, but you have to crystallize that into actionable pillars, which can then, be in your mission statement, in your bio, and just really clarify exactly who you are and how you help. Otherwise, you're just going to be putting out generic posts and no one's going to pay attention to you. And it's not that you don't have a great message, it's just not presented in a clear way. And people want clarity.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think that many of us at the beginning are struggling with, oh man, I have to make this decision, and then out of this complexity of being that I am, I have to choose only this that I will make visible and share with the world, and that's terrifying.
It is, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Like we were doing a mission statement workshop the other day in my group, and the women were entering these different things. And this one woman put in how much she loves working with newborns and babies and all this stuff, but she didn't want to limit herself and blah, 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 blah. And I was sitting there going, okay, I know that there's a title in here. And I thought up newborn navigator. And so I told her that because I think it's really cool if you can come up with a neat little name, like instead of just saying life coach, to be that specific, because then it really opens you up to your target market. And
Yeah.
she got so excited. She was like, oh my gosh. And then she was messaging me later. I have all these ideas for programs and group programs and courses and da 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 da. So even though it feels strange at first and it feels limiting, when you're able to crystallize exactly what you do and exactly who you help, then the business plan just starts flowing and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all these ideas because you have the clarity.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. I think it's, yeah,
Absolutely.
it brings a lot of clarity and probably some more confidence for those of us who do not want to choose just one thing.
I hope so. I know it's always tough in the beginning, but you'll get used to it. And that mission statement is going to change 100 times. Mine certainly has.
Yeah, and I think that that's important to share also the fact that things are actually getting more and more refined. And I imagine that in your business also they are refining every single day, and every single day you are finding some different or some complementary way of serving the women that you are working with.
Absolutely. I was at coffee because sometimes I'll meet up with some of the girls in my group that are local. And she was saying, I noticed that you changed the name of your Facebook group a couple of weeks ago. And I said, oh yeah, it felt right. And so I changed it. And she said, you're just able to just make changes. You just decide to do it and then you just do it. And I sit there and I hem and I haw for weeks. And I thought about it and I went, I guess that's true. I figure it's my business and it's my message, so I can change it if I want to. So definitely you have that freedom.
Mm,
And my mission statement changed 2 days ago. So it's okay that it constantly morphs. It's supposed to.
yeah. Well, the courage that you have, right, to not only be able to affirm who you are and get clear about that, but also make it visible to other people. How are you navigating through this process? So, what was like your top three challenges that you had in this process, and how did you go about them?
I think my biggest challenges were when I was first getting started after I decided on Visibility Vixen. I was on so many in so many different courses and memberships and on so many people's email lists that you're bombarded with so much information about what you should be doing right now that I felt totally overwhelmed and lost. I would wake up, and I have a really bad habit of checking my phone when I wake up. So I see all of these different newsletters and it's like publicity or this or hiring a team or this or this or that, and it got me so overwhelmed that I found that I wasn't taking a lot of daily action. So
Mm,
that was definitely my first struggle. So I had to do a lot of unsubscribing and I had to get tunnel vision, and I call it going down into the submarine, because I know that if I'm creating, I kind of need to turn everything else off so that I can listen. And you can't do that if you're constantly under Facebook posts dinging on your phone and seeing what all these other entrepreneurs are doing, because comparisonitis can be the biggest form of confusion,
yes.
and you can't take action because you're like, oh, but she's doing this. So that was struggle number one. Struggle number two was not being at the point in the beginning that I was making consistent money, trying to figure out, how do I get my name out there and how do I do things in a way that's going to be so attractive to people, that's different. And that can be a really hard thing to do. And so I just really, I go to the coffee shop every day. It's my morning ritual. It's where I clear my head and I do my devotion and I do my studies, and I can go into the day empowered. And so I started just going and listening. and just listening to different ideas that were coming into my mind and writing them down. And that's how I was able to figure out my different opt-ins and tripwires and email sequences and make it so that if you're coming to my site, you can choose one of my free gifts, and let's say it's systems, and I can take you through a free education. You can buy the course if you want to, you don't have to, but at the end of that sequence, then you have options for the next training that I offer. So you can really kind of hop around. And that's what I wish I would have had when I started out in entrepreneurship. Was there one person I could go to that could really help me in all these different ways? So that was a big challenge in the beginning. But when I finally took the time to listen and set everything up, that's when so much changed, because I wasn't listening to what everyone was telling me I should do. I was listening to what I thought I should do.
Yeah, that's thank you very much for sharing that too. This pressure that is happening, right? When you are looking at other people and you wish you were at that level, and you think that, okay, if I'm gonna take this little piece of advice from here and then that little piece of advice from there, I will make it happen. And actually, it usually ends up being a very, very messy lasagna.
Absolutely. It's awful, right?
Yeah. Well,
A month goes by and you're like, I haven't done anything, right?
yeah. So how are you promoting yourself now? How are you promoting Visibility Vixen now?
Right now, it's all organic, which means I'm not into Facebook ads yet. That is the next step, but I'm doing it mainly in Facebook groups. I'm doing it through, there's enough traffic now through my podcast and my blogs and my social media that I'm getting a good amount of views to my website. So those are kind of the different ways that it's happening right now, and my YouTube channel and that kind of stuff. So I haven't been as worried about the traffic. It has naturally attracted to me, which is amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to get everything set up, because I think it's so important to be able to monetize your visibility, because so many people out there, and I've had panicked calls at like 11 p.m. where people are like, oh my gosh, my article's going live in the Huffington Post tomorrow and I don't even have my email list set up. And I'm like, oh, that would make me crazy. So it's so important to have those things set up so that when the traffic comes, you can monetize off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the power of systems. And mostly I am a fan of automated systems where you really can take like a vacation out of your business life, and then everything kind of
Absolutely.
happens for you.
There's
Yeah.
no better feeling, especially I love like when I go to sleep and I wake up and I've made sales. Like I've always heard of that and gone, that would be the best feeling. But when it actually started to happen, I was just like, this is the best feeling in the world, right? It's so amazing. And you can't do it without your systems being in place.
Yeah. I guess at one point I was also thinking about this, no, like I'm a very people's people, so I like being around people. How is it for you, like when everything will I understand that you are not there yet, right? Having everything automated. Do you sometimes feel there is a discrepancy or like a gap between your business and like the real tangible impact, people impact that you are creating? So
Can
I
you
heard
rephrase that for me?
yeah. So I heard that you have these community meetings, right? So that gives humanity to what you are doing. Most of us are just online, and when you introduce the automated part, then there is a really big gap between you as a human being and whatever impact you are creating for other people. So how is it that you are concealing that?
I think that for me, even though I'm a type A personality, I also have my seasons of it. So there's certain days of the week, like I try to limit it. I usually only am social about once a week, where I'm actually going out and hanging out with a friend or going to a party or whatever. The rest of the time is either with my husband or my parents or just myself, because as you know, when you're the solopreneur that's running your business, a lot of time goes into it, especially before you hire a team. So I think the way that I keep connection is I do have a mastermind, and 3 of those girls live in Los Angeles. So I'm very blessed to be able to meet with them in person. We get together for like an all-day session once a quarter to plan out the following quarter. So we're doing that this Sunday. So I think that's really important. And then I've started to host little meetups once a quarter with ConvertKit people that are fellow ConvertKit users to kind of help them get started with their systems. So I think as an entrepreneur, you have to think outside the box. And you have to, if you're going to leverage yourself as a thought leader and an expert, you have to host things,
Sorry.
whether that's coffee with people. And, you know, you can go into these huge groups like Melissa Griffin's group, How We Met, and just say, hey, anyone in, you know, Kentucky, and just start bringing people together, because then that's your tribe that's going to start coming to your workshops and your retreats and all of that. So you have to have like the 5-year plan in mind, knowing that the more that you host these things, the more you establish yourself as that expert. So I definitely make it very intentional to do that. And we'll be doing that a lot more, especially this summer. So it's important.
Yeah, I like that, how at one point everything was offline and then everybody kind of switched to online, and now we are trying to mix everything, because for me, for example, it's really, really important, that human capital and like being in touch with whatever I'm creating.
Absolutely. It's so important.
So you're mentioning being an expert, and we spoke about success. How does business success look to you? What do you see when you think about success?
I think about reach, I think about wealth, and I think about impact. So in terms of reach, I think about, like, I create new target numbers like every month, and they're not mandatory, but they're my intention. So I specifically write them out. I have a little vision board up here, and I attach an emotion to them, and then I release them. And that's been a really wonderful way to kind of energetically attract so many more people into my Facebook group. It's become much more effortless than what it was. And so reach is important. Wealth is important because, of course, we all have these wonderful dreams that we want to bring into reality. And I want that for me and my family, me and my husband, and the ability to continuously grow the business by putting money back into it, and which is something I'm blessed to be able to start doing now. And then impact for me is huge, just because I believe that you need an immediate why in your business, which is why you help who you help. But I also think you need a big why, which is how are you specifically going to help change the world with your money? So I firmly believe in organizations like Samaritan's Purse. And I really, really love re-educating farmers on how to grow their soil in a really beautiful way and to grow their plants together, which is called bioabundant farming. And I do have a friend that runs an organization called The Recovery of Children, and he actually travels the world rescuing kidnapped children. And he doesn't come home unless they come home with him.
Wow.
So I know. So it's really, really beautiful and amazing. And of course, you don't have to have that same mission like I have, but I always encourage my ladies, what's your big, big why outside of yourself? Because money loves a mission.
But I'm really, really grateful for this, for having the opportunity to share the fact that we both have this activist part. And I like people who are investing also whatever profit they are making, and also time in these activities. Like, I'm very big on education and food waste and conscious living in general.
Absolutely. I totally am there with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I have one last curiosity, and that is about inspiration. So do you have people whom you found inspiring throughout your journey, and probably still?
That's an interesting question. There's definitely entrepreneurs that have inspired me in one way or the other. The one that sticks out to me the most is Melissa Farr. I started following her and was really blessed to be able to go to her Ascend Live event last year, which was so amazing in New York City. I think that she has an ability to help you find clarity in amazing ways. So she's the one entrepreneur that I tell everyone to go follow and stalk, and her live streams are the best. I think for me, inspiration, I have to create a lot of space. And what I mean by that is I'm either hiking and out in nature, or like I really love to go up to the central coast of California to a place called Morro Bay that's right on the ocean, and just have time to think and to release and to heal and to kind of transition into new creative thoughts. So I think it's really important to get outside of your environment, because a lot of times we're watching people's live streams, we're reading their newsletters, we're doing all that, and we're in panic mode of trying to get things done instead of realizing, like, if you just step out of your routine and go for a freaking walk, like, it's going to come to you and be so much easier. So that definitely makes my life a lot easier, and I should take my own advice more often.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that and for reminding us. I also find that it does happen like that. Sometimes you spend days and you really want to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And you take off your hand off the gears, which the speed gear, and then everything kind of falls into place.
Absolutely. Get out of the house. Get out of the house. That's the moral of the story.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much, Michelle. I know that we can find you on your website. People will find the link to your website and to your Facebook group and to your podcast and to your Facebook page in the description. And thank you very much for sharing also the your free course, the branding one that kind of gives you the base to get you started with your online visibility.
Absolutely. This was such a blast. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I wish everyone luck and so much success this year stepping out in your visibility.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Have a happy day.
Thanks.
Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.